What was the worst thing that you did said while being angry? One of my friends in primary school had died in a car accident. One of my other friends pissed me off a few days later and I told him that he should have died instead. I was like 9 or 10 at the time. I was probably like 9 or 10 as well. Having an argument with my sister, and for whatever reason I got so angry I said, "I wish you weren't my sister." I immediately regretted it and it made her cry and I tried apologizing right away. I hate myself for doing that. A few months later she died in a car accident going to a gymnastics practice. I miss her so much. I wish I still had her as a sister. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sure it's easier said than done. But try not to blame yourself for impulsive actions you made as a child. Children's brains and moral compass and decision making abilities and all that are still developing. Sometimes they say and do stupid stuff. She may have cried at the time, but I'm sure deep down she knew you didn't mean it. I've said things like that to my brother as well and he's done the same to me. It hurts at the moment but you know they don't mean it. My brother was in middle school and he biked there every day. I told him that I hoped he got run over. He was hit by a car that very morning and had to be revived 12 times that day. Nobody expected him to live. I've never gotten over what I said. You couldn't know. When Buddy Holly's bus broke down on his tour and he was about to take that flight he eventually died in instead. He joked with one of his bandmates that he hoped he didn't freeze to death in the broken bus. The bandmate jokingly responded that he hoped Holly's plane crashed. Haunted that dude for the rest of his life. My mother's ex-husband and I had a really volatile relationship. He was mentally and emotionally abusive and my mom was an alcoholic. There was one day where things got extremely bad. Both my mom and her ex-husband were drinking. All I did was walk in the door and that's when it all started. I was told I had no friends. I was told my family didn't care about me and that if I disappear it would be a good break because I was disappointing. I was told that they wished I was dead. I kept trying to tell them to leave me alone. I tried hiding in my room too, but they followed me. I at one point finally became so enraged at them I flipped my bed over. Not just the mattress, I'm talking bed frame and all. Because I kept a knife under my bed and then chased them out with a knife and told them I would kill them and not to go to sleep. Yeah, that was fun to explain to the cops. I hope you explained to the police that they were abusing you. I drew my friend burning in lava with the devil hanging out next to him. I was 9. I got expelled from after school care. This one's my favorite AskReddit. This comment got me to 6,969 karma. Thanks y'all. When I was very young, I would occasionally hit someone when I was angry. The very last time this happened was in 6th grade. My best friend and I got into a little fight. IDR what about? But I assure you it was dumb. And I hit her as hard as I could on the arm. The look on her face is what snapped me back. She looked as if she had never been hit by anyone, ever, and was obviously very hurt both physically and emotionally. I felt immediate guilt and I swore then and there to never do it again and to be in better control of my emotions. Glad I learned that lesson early. Good personal growth and respect to you for it. Did your friend forgive you? Yes, she did, thankfully. So not as bad as some. But when I was a kid I wanted a hard-boiled egg one afternoon and my mom said no. I asked why and she just said no. I got upset and went to my room. When she went to take a shower or whatever I had the brilliant idea of making my desired egg treat with speed and stealth. I took a coffee mug, filled it with water, dropped the egg in and stuck it in the microwave. I forget how long I set it for, but it was long enough for my mom to come back out to the sound of something cooking in the microwave. She asked me to come to the kitchen, which I shamefully did in defeat. Just as she begins to ask me what I'm cooking, the microwave starts to beep. On the third beep there was this very loud but muffled thump from the microwave. The egg had exploded. The cup had exploded. The microwave was ruined. This wouldn't have been so bad had my family had enough money to replace a microwave and I hadn't wasted eggs. Why wouldn't your mom let you have an egg? Maybe she was planning on using it for the next meal. My dad mentioned how we only got a certain amount of eggs for dinner. He dished up all of the plates and I saw 3 chunks of egg stuck to the pan. an amount equivalent to half of a scrambled egg. I grabbed the chunks and popped them in my mouth. Dad set the table and looked back at the pan and exclaimed, "What happened?" I told him I saw the wasted eggs and ate them. He responded that I ate his dinner. I offered him my eggs but he wouldn't take them and suffered it out with no food. I understand what he was doing, and I don't fault him, but as a fat kid it messed me up for years knowing I ate my dad's dinner and mine and he wouldn't let me set it right. I understand the concept of suffering for your family, but I ate more than I needed not knowing he had to starve. I would do the same for my kids, but it was a sobering reality. I'm gonna fly kick your mum down a flight of stairs. Ran away from home. I was 10. I gathered some blankets and snacks, then headed to a mountain's resting place. I rode a bus for 2 hours, then hiked up a mountain to the resting area my dad and I used to enjoy ramen cups. There was a generator nearby which kept me warm. I drank water at the springs. Some campers even gave me food since there was a large camping ground a bit lower to the mountain. After 3 days, I just went home because I really had to poop, but I did not want to shit in the woods. I love the fact that shitting in the woods was unbearable. I told my mom to go fuck herself at an Old Navy while a young boy with his mom was holding the door for us. Now I'm laughing imagining someone saying to their mom, "Go fuck yourself" at an Old Navy. So this one, in my opinion, was a total accident, but no one believes me. When my brother was like 3 or 4 he kept rolling this stupid brick around, hitting me with it on the foot and ankles. He was pretending to be a dog or something. Anyway, I got mad after him doing it a couple times and grabbed the brick. Since I was mad I went to throw it down. I picked it up, turned 90 degrees to the right and wailed this brick to the ground as hard as my 7-year-old arms would let me. I didn't know he crawled around, because he was still pretending to be a dog, and I cracked him in the head with it. I knew I was in big trouble because my parents didn't beat me for it. It took like 10 stitches on the back of his head to fix it. For a second I thought you killed him. In middle school one of my classmates was permanently in a wheelchair. He was also a bit of a bully. He was making fun of me and a friend, and in the middle of it I said, "Come on, friend, let's go find some stairs." I still cringe pretty hard about that. So, I've got a pretty funny-ish story about disabled bullies. I went to a school designed for people on the spectrum. High or low functioning never mattered. I had a friend who had brain damage and was a 6-year-old trapped in a growing teenager's body. He was being bullied by someone 3 years younger than him who was unable to move without some special roller. I was high functioning, so I couldn't actually do anything apart from telling the kid to shut the hell up and leave him alone. One day the kid was bullying him for the way he speaks, and for some unknown reason my friend just started stretching and showing off his ability to move all his limbs freely. I've never been so confused, happy and mildly disturbed like this before. I chucked a My Little Pony at my sister's head and hit her smack in the middle with a unicorn horn. This was because she wouldn't let me play as Rarity. My older brother threw a softball at my head when we were 11/13. It left stitch marks in my forehead. He wasn't mad at me or anything. He was just a complete dick at that age. To be fair, Rarity is the prettiest. I wanted to do the British accent. This is relatively low stakes, but I still feel terrible about it. When I was a kid, 12 plus, my sister and I were home alone together frequently because both of our parents worked and I was old enough to babysit. We lived in a house that was too small for all 4 of us, in a bad neighborhood, and it was a permanently dirty old house that was falling apart, so background stress levels were high. Just to set the tone, my sister went to her friend's house to play across the street. Meanwhile, I couldn't find my gem doll that I'd got from a friend online and was looking everywhere for it. They don't make gem anymore, so it was a very important doll for me. While I'm looking, my sister comes home and timidly asks for me. Strawberry? What? So you know how I went over to neighbor's house to play? Yeah. Her dad got mad at us and ripped the head off of the doll to punish her, but actually it was the one I brought over and I think it was your doll. So naturally I lost my mind and tore into her. I was furious. Not only was that my doll, but it was rare and out of print and already older than either of us. So how dare she steal it from my room and play with it and get it broken? I yelled at her so loud and hard I went hoarse, and she crumbled into tears. I demanded she give me my doll back and not talk to me until mom and dad got home. She collapsed onto her bed and sobbed, and I took the doll back into my room. I looked at it, and it was a grungy old Barbie doll. I felt so guilty for screaming at my sister, and hearing her sob through the walls made me feel like a monster. I'd ripped her a new one over nothing. An old raggedy Barbie with missing hair and chewed up feet. My gem doll was somewhere in my room. She'd never taken it. Eventually I came out of my room and apologized to her. I explained why I was so mad and what I had incorrectly assumed. And I told her that it wasn't her fault the neighbor girl's dad was a crazy asshole. He later apologized to her and his daughter too. But that made me feel just as bad as he was. It's been over a decade since that happened. And my sister and I have both moved on and have a great sibling relationship. But I still feel so horrible about how I treated her when I was a teenager. I wish I had been more level-headed. Edit. I am so stunned by the response to this comment. I'm also surprised how many gem fans there are on Reddit. Thank you for watching and listening to my channel. Feel free to drop a comment and be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification button for the latest video I publish every day. See you on the next video, very Reddit fans.